Welcome back to Dance Studio Owner Life Coaching. I'm Ginger Haithcox. Today, I want to talk about something that actually happened recently. And it was a conversation I had with a friend who is also a mom. And her question to me was about if my studio, which is well over an hour away from her, had classes on Sundays. And this is interesting for a few reasons. Knowing where she lives, I said, "What about studios in your area?" To which she replied, "Oh, she went to such and such studio, but after 2 years, I didn't see any progress. And myself and a few other families, we were really disappointed in the recital. We didn't like the direction things were going, and it just seems like it's going downhill. So we decided not to come back. We're looking for a new studio." And I told her that I would look into what some other studios might be in her area because I know a lot of studio owners. Um, and one of the things I said is, I know the other studio owners, but I don't know like what the result is that they produce. So when I said that, she said, "Yeah, there's another studio locally, but I feel like the dances are too much gyrating, too suggestive, and my daughter's 5 years old, and I don't want her doing these sexy dances and shaking her booty all the time, right?" This, my friends, is such an interesting conversation to have with someone who is just a parent who wants a class for their 5 or 6 year old daughter. The reason why it's interesting is I can see her perspective. I'm a parent as well. And more importantly, because I'm part of the dance industry, I believe that we build a lot of value into the world, into the lives of these children, even beyond dance. This struggle for a parent to find a studio that, quite honestly, just has the quality she's looking for, the values that she's looking for, I'm going to just say it. Why is it so hard? I'm not only thinking about it from the parent's perspective, but I'm thinking about it from our perspective as dance studio owners, dance teachers, educators in the community. When we struggle personally or have issues with staffing, it shows. Those things that we let fester until after the recital, it shows. When we make a choice to demonstrate more adult material with children, it shows, and people are affected by what they are seeing. People are going to constantly make judgment calls for what they believe is right for their children, their family. Our job as business owners is to think beyond ourselves. What I mean by that is that if we are having trouble with staff, we can't be held back by ourselves because we are nervous about letting go of a staff person or hiring a new person or disciplining someone. The comment that this mother said was, one of the things that bothered her was that she felt as though there was a bunch of students or teenage or middle school teachers that, quite literally, children teaching children was the majority of the faculty. And she felt like the staff was so young and immature that they were not producing a quality result. This is not a solitary example. I know there's people who run their studios with very young staff. I know that there's people who run their studios with experienced older staff, but they have their own set of problems as well, right? So, what I'm going to say is it is so important that we train, support, and provide ongoing professional development to our staff, that we check in with the classes and see, what does the classroom experience look like? What does the choreography look like? What have they selected before it's too late to make changes to the choreography and the end result, right? If you have a large studio and you cannot possibly get there and see all the classes, divide and conquer. I've done everything from me personally seeing every single piece before the children are taught to spot checking in specific classes to having some of my staff help me peer review choreography to help each other out. In the times that I had less experienced staff, I had support systems in place because I have had quality control issues that bothered me to the point of having to do something about it. And this is the sticking point. It has to bother you enough that you will do something about it. If you're losing clientele because of a lack of quality staff, because the end result recital looks like a hot mess, this is something that you have to address. Please do not let it get to your recital, your dress rehearsal night when you're like, oh my gosh, this looks horrible. Regular check ins with your faculty. Talk to them about how the class is progressing. Ask someone on your leadership team to check in. Make the time to make sure that you have a consistent, excellent experience across your studio. This is heartbreaking because I know it's difficult for that parent. She will probably never go back to that studio. She will probably never say something positive about that studio to other people in the community. And that studio owner is likely wondering what happened? Why did I lose so many students? Oh my gosh, I have to do even more marketing to get my student numbers back up. I haven't recovered from the loss of last year. And she could be thinking it's economic factors. She could be thinking it's, oh, the birth rate. Oh, she could be thinking something else. Maybe there's another activity going on that kids want to do more than dance. And at no point is that studio owner thinking, gosh, I should have taken care of those staffing issues that led to such a hot mess season and a hot mess show. There are things that we know exactly what to do. There are absolutely positively things that are irritating us about our studio that we are not addressing. We have to address these things because it is literally leaking students out the other end. We keep onboarding and trying to do trial classes to fill up and grow our studio. But on the back end, the problems that we choose not to address are leaking students out the other end, and we will never, ever catch up. You can't outmarket bad decisions. It's just not possible. Moving on to the studio where it's local to her, but she felt like the students were gyrating and the movements were too sexualized for children. I want to talk about that too. There was a choice being made. There was a choice being made on the part of the parents, on the part of the teachers, and on the part of the studio director that said, yeah, those kids are gyrating. They're doing sexual music. They've got things that have innuendo. They're doing movements that are suggestive. Someone along the line repeatedly said, "Yep, I'm going to rubber stamp that. It's good to go." Here's the thing. There is a time and a place for adult entertainment. There's a time and a place for the gyrating and the burlesque. There's a time and a place for something, high energy and suggestive with innuendo or humor. There is a time and a place for that. And I'm going to argue that it probably belongs on the stages of Atlantic City and Las Vegas than on children's choreography. This is the same culture and environment that is fighting to release the Epstein files, that had the Me Too movement. This is the same culture that is constantly working to give women a fair shot and to earn the same as men. And we are allowing children to be sexual objects. They don't even know what they're doing half the time. They're just doing what the adults in their lives have said you do. You listen to your teacher. You listen to your mom. Well, mom wouldn't have me doing this as if it's wrong. Kids don't have the same ability and agency at a young age to speak up and say, "This isn't right. I don't feel comfortable. This is strange. Why am I dancing in my underwear? What is this song about? Why are we grinding? Why are we smacking each other's booties?" There is a time and a place for these, and I do not believe it's with children. If everything that you are doing as a studio and every way that you represent your studio to attract new clients is sexually charged dances, then know that you're going to attract and also repel a certain clientele. If you only show your advanced competition pieces with sassy dances of the older kids, it's a far stretch for parents to see how their 3-year old who loves to watch Bluey is going to fit in. If, on the other hand, you demonstrate the experience that they will get that is wholesome and age appropriate, you're going to attract a different clientele. I'm not here to be your moral compass. I'm not going to tell you what's okay and what's not, what songs are okay and what's not. Everybody's going to decide what makes sense for them. Some people don't like bare midriffs, other people have no problem with it. Your costume choices are your costume choices, not mine, not the moral police. What I'm going to say is, you are going to project an image of your studio and your values by the things that you choose in terms of music, movement, and themes and tone. While we're on this, I also want to talk about an experience I had with another parent. Now, this parent is a good friend of mine. She and I have known each other since our children were young. And she has lots of friends who also have their daughters in dance. She shared with me a flyer from another dance studio, and the flyer was for the recital. And it featured some very shockingly suggestive images. In fact, it looked more like a nightclub flyer than for a children's dance recital. It was to that extent. I was actually shocked because I couldn't understand what she was sending me. The choice that this person made to create or distribute a flyer that she thought looked so good and professional had the absolute opposite effect on those parents, to the point where they screenshot, took pictures of, and shared it with their friends like, "Can you believe this crap? I can't believe this is what this studio owner has done." And I have to think to myself, what was the thought? Was it simply, "Well, I think it looks cute. Oh, I like it. It's a little sassy. I like the way it looks." But that's not enough. It's not enough to just say what we like. We have to think about the lives and the people that we are impacting, the role models that we are. Do we want to show sexual looking material on a recital flyer? So, lo and behold, I come to find out that that parent who shared that image, she wasn't the only one who shared that image. In fact, so many families from that studio showed that same image and were outraged by it that they actually spoke up, and they essentially forced that studio owner to change the flyer for the recital, to change the image and the logo and everything because it was far too suggestive. Now, I don't know if that studio owner just naive, they didn't realize that it would be offensive. I don't know if they were just caving to the pressure but felt kind of spiteful about it. But I know this. I know that we have to think higher and larger than ourselves. I know that we have to think about not just what we would like, but what our customers would respond well to. You're never going to please everyone. And yet, I'm going to say, if you can offend a large group of your clientele, it's likely that you could lose them following that show if they even make it there. We trap people in this thought of, okay, I'm going to be doing this performance. Um, my money's invested and I have to do this. And you'll find that people will drop off after performance times, after a winter show, after a June or May show. They'll drop off, and oftentimes they will not give a reason. There are any number of reasons why someone might drop dance, but when there are things that people feel uncomfortable with and don't think that their kids are either progressing or that things are too suggestive, people will leave for better or for worse. Friends, I know that a lot of us are in a time where they were struggling with enrollment this fall, but maybe things have picked up in January. I know that people are a little worried. They want to make sure that they hit their numbers. But I ask this of you: take a hard look, take an honest look at your studio. Pop into a few classes other than your own. Take a look at your faculty. Take a look at how they project themselves to the students. Take a look at how the kids feel after class. Take a look, talk to a few parents and ask them how things are going. Do some spot checks on your faculty and staff to ensure that it is a consistent experience that you enjoy, that you're proud of, that you know is quality. Take a look also at the demographics of the people that you serve. Are you serving a primarily preschool studio with younger children? Are you serving an adult studio where everybody is doing pole dance, right? There's time and a place and an age appropriate for each group because dance is for everyone. There is literally dance for everyone. If you've got a bunch of adult classes, and you've got a bunch of preschool classes and you've got this wide array of age groups and styles, how do you market appropriately to each group instead of casting a wide net hoping for the best? There are a lot of opportunities for growth for us. And I'm going to argue that before you sign up for that next webinar, before you get that next book, before you listen to one more podcast episode, you pause for 10 minutes and give yourself that hard look, that honest look at what is going on in your studio that is irritating you, bothering you, or making you feel queasy in your stomach. Because I guarantee you, if you can work on that thing, you are going to see more results than anything you're going to get from a webinar. There, I said it. You have the answers inside of you already. You already know the things that are irritating you. You already know the things that make you think, oh, I question that. You already know the faculty that's not following what you have said is how you run your studio. You have faculty that are not using your syllabus. You have faculty that are not taking your suggestions and your development opportunities. You have faculty that just want to do what they want to do. You have faculty that's using music that you're like, I don't know about that. I got to talk to her eventually. Please address these things, friends. It is heartbreaking when I hear these stories from dance moms who are making valid comments about why their child will not be returning to their dance studio. I am coming from a place of knowing what it's like because I too have had times when my studio was not running to par, when I had staff that I should have let go of sooner, but I allowed them to stay, and then I had to deal with the results. And it hurts. It really hurts. It hurts us as the studio owner when we see that our own inaction caused us to quite literally lose revenue. When people make comments and we have no defense of it, not one lick of defense, because those people were right. They were 100% right, and we failed to take action. And I'm telling you from experience, it does not feel good. You do not want to be in that position. And as painful it is to take action and fix those things, It is far more painful to hear a customer say that they're not coming back because they didn't like this thing. The very thing you said in your head, I'll take care of it later. I'll fix it after the recital. I won't renew her contract for next year. Instead of dealing with it in the now, in the present, in today. So, whatever it is that's happening right now in your studio, where it is on your last nerve, I invite you to address it today. Get that meeting booked. Get that music reviewed, check in on some choreography, talk to your leadership team, and take action. Because, my friends, when we lose students for things that are within our control, that hurts bad. Until next time, my friends, I wish you well. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. I am fired up about today's topic. And if you are too, maybe it's time for you to get some one-on-one coaching. Visit my website, gingerhaithcox.com/coaching, and I can help you walk through these difficult conversations, these major changes in operations, reviewing different things in your studio to make them fit what you actually want. If that's for you, go ahead and book your breakthrough call. We'll figure out where you are, what's got you stuck, and what's the next right step. Until next time, take care.